Alright, what's up everyone? Greg here, Project Unbroken. So today I'm going to be talking about what heroin feels like and also what it's like to be a heroin addict. We skimmed this topic before, but in today's video I want to dive deep. I want you to get a perfect understanding of what heroin feels like and also what it's like to be a heroin addict, because I want you to completely understand how dangerous and ugly this drug is. This is about education and helping people get away from this drug or get away from any thoughts of ever trying this drug, anything along those lines. So I'm going to dig deep here. Now, there's really a couple different aspects to heroin, and with how it feels, there's both a physical and a mental side to it. And also, the addiction as a whole, there are stages that you go through. So I want to talk about both of those things. So let's talk first about how it feels. So what many people don't understand is the high starts before you even use. The high started for me when I made the phone call. And depending on what stage I was at on how I felt exactly, but usually the high begins when I start dialing the number, and I'm waiting and it's ringing and they pick up. Yes, that's where the high begins. Yes, he answered. And then it's usually, the way I asked my main dealer was, "You good?" Just hoping he said yeah, yes, that's the next high. He has it. All right, well, where can we meet? What time? Hopefully soon. No, I'm hoping soon. And he says, okay, well, I can meet you 11 o'clock. It's 10 now. I'll meet you in an hour. Bam. There's the first high. And that's pretty disgusting, right? I mean, you get your first high really just from the phone call. There's so much desire for the drug. There's so much. There's so much pull that the high begins before you even use, just at the phone call. So the next stage is really the drive, kind of like the waiting and the drive there. And that's excitement. It's adrenaline. You know that you're getting ready to go do something illegal. A little bit of danger there, which I personally like danger. So it really excited me. I don't know if I'm weird in that aspect, but the danger part actually kind of excited me. It was almost like an adrenaline rush. But also, of course, knowing that I'm going to get high was a high on its own. Then the next stage, and I know that all you addicts, even whether it's heroin or any other drug, can kind of relate to this, especially with heroin and opiates, especially when you're withdrawing. The next phase is the wait. We have all addicts have waited for a drug dealer. You pull up, we always beat the dealer there. We're always first. The dealer pretty much never beats us to the location that we're exchanging, right? So you get there and it's constant. See his car, and that's the next part of the high. Waiting to see the car, waiting to see that car. Usually their car, and you're just waiting to see it turn that corner. Then of course the next part of the high is when you see the car. It's like, whew, you start getting really excited. Again, embarrassing. It's I don't know if embarrassing is the right word, but it's crazy that a drug can have that much hold on you, that you get so much of a high before you even use it. So then of course there's the initial contact, where you do the exchange. Again, for me, that was, many people don't like that, but for me it was like danger. It was like, I was taking a risk. For some reason I get a little bit high off that itself, a little bit of adrenaline, and I know there's people out there that are similar. So after that's the initial feeling, and you have it, and you each drive away, and there's a little bit of excitement there because you didn't get caught, and you now have what you want, and you're getting ready to get high. So the next phase of the addiction is the ritual, and most addicts have a ritual. I know for me it was, I never shot heroin, I just sniffed it, and that was, side note, that was something that I helped justify using heroin for was, well, I'm not shooting it. And that was kind of my justification for a while. But anyways, so my ritual was I would, get the bags and I'd be driving back to where I was. I wouldn't even wait, of course, until I got there. I know many addicts are like, I'd do it right there where I got it. I don't even leave the area. But I usually like to leave just in case anyone saw the exchange. And on the drive home would usually be when I started up. And if you don't know what a heroin bag looks like, it's about this thick. They came in blue bags for me, and they're about this long, and they kind of fold up into a square like this big. So you open it up, and I'll flick it just to kind of get the powder all level, and I'll put one or two, depending on how much I got or how I was feeling or what I was doing that day. Usually one or two on a book that I kept in my car, or a flat surface. I get out a card, chop it, get out a bill, and sniff it. And that was my ritual. I always did the same thing, the flick, pulled it out, always had a card on me, and that was my ritual. So from there you've used, and then the second part of the high begins, or the actual fix, or the actual high, I guess you could call it. But surprisingly, many people don't talk about the high beforehand. It has that. The pull is so strong that the process is a high. You get high in the process, just mentally, just stuff flowing in your brain, knowing it's about to happen. The whole process, it's crazy. It's unbelievable how powerful that drug is and what it does to you even before you ever use it. So once you use it, it's the initial feeling. It's like an itch getting scratched. That's a good way to put it. You have an itch on your back, you can't reach it, and you get someone to scratch your back. It's like the itch is scratched. Or if you crack your back, you ever been to a chiropractor? You get a really good neck crack at a chiropractor. They do an adjustment. It's like, oh my God! If you had a big pain, they hit it and it cracks and it's fixed. It's almost like that feeling at first, especially if you're in withdrawal. Especially that's just intensified, because then you go from feeling totally horrible to feeling good, and it happens pretty quick. I know for those that shoot, it happens even quicker, pretty much instantaneously. Sniffing, if I remember correctly, it took like, I don't know, a minute or so, 30 seconds, a minute. Even like the high probably takes longer, but I think even like initially, like as soon as you sniff it, you feel better just because you know that it's about to kick in. So I could even say sniffing, although the high may not technically kick in right away, it kind of does because it's coming any second. So it kicks in pretty quick. And then next is the drip. So I sniffed heroin, so the drip for me was a very distinct taste. And what's weird again is it doesn't even taste that good, but I love the taste. And I think the reason for that is because I associated that drip with a great feeling. Every time I tasted this specific taste, or this drip going down my nostril, down the back of my throat and into my system, it made me feel great. So I think subconsciously, even though it doesn't necessarily taste that good, my body kind of fooled or tricked me, or my mind tricked me into loving it. I love that drip. So then, of course, it finally kicks in, whether it's a couple seconds or a couple minutes, whatever the case is. And how you feel from there really depends on how much you use. There's different stages and different levels to what you feel. If you're sniffing it, you're just doing one bag and you've been doing it for a little while, usually it almost makes you feel normal. You'll feel a little high, you'll get a little happier, maybe a little bit of drowsy, but it'll kind of make you feel normal. Early in your addiction, it may make you feel a little drowsy, a little better, because you build a tolerance over time, but it's not like the nodding out usually, like the one bag, unless you're just starting. That's with the greater use. Like I would compare it more to, for me, like pills. If you ever done a Percocet, like you ever got pain and Percocet and it kind of more social. You know, like lower amounts, you can be more social. You don't feel as much body high. You still feel the euphoria, but you're more likely on low doses to kind of act normal and look normal and get away with it. But you still feel good. You know, you can still get a little body high depending on where you're at in your addiction, and of course how strong it is. But then as you go to the higher doses, if you do a couple bags or a few bags, you can get to a stage where you're what's called a nodding out, right? And you've seen people there where you're almost drooling, and like it's obvious. Everyone's seen someone nodding out. And what that feels like, kind of the more extreme how heroin feels like is, it's almost like at that nodding out stage where you're pretty messed up. It's almost like I would say like a dream. It's kind of like a dream, but you're more there. If you ever had a really good dream and you're like enjoying it, but then you wake up, you're kind of like, man, what did I dream about? Like, it's almost like a dream you can control, and it's a really good dream, and your body feels really good, and it's a lot of euphoria. You're very happy. Nothing else matters. Nothing else really matters when you're that high. You're just concentrating on almost like controlling your dream, I would say. Like you're almost floating, but again, you're more there. So if you had a dream like where you're flying, it's really fun. It's kind of hard to remember, right? But in your addiction, or when you're that high on heroin, it's almost like a dream that you completely feel, and you're there, and that's the best way I can describe it. But you're not really dreaming, like I've never really dreamed. Just more like I'm there, but I'm not. And it's like I'm floating, like that's the best way I can explain it. Like extreme body high, feel very good, kind of there but not. So close to dreaming, but more controllable. So sounds really enticing, right? But the problem is, what goes up must come down, and the more you go up, the harder you're going to come down. And what I mean by that is, the more you use heroin and the more you do it and the higher doses you get, the harder it is to get off, and the harder the fall is going to be, the harder the come down is going to be. So, not worth it. Although it sounds really good, you're getting a short-term benefit, an hour or two. It's really a false sense of feeling, because it's not real. You feel it, of course, but it's not permanent. You got to do the drug and pretty much bet on ruining the rest of your life if you want to keep feeling like that. It's not worth it. So, as a whole, like being a heroin addict as a whole, hopefully that helps you understand what heroin feels like. Although, yeah, it feels very good. It's has complete control over you. Nothing else matters, which again leads me into the addiction as a whole, and why you don't want to try heroin. You don't even want to do it. It's not worth it even a little bit. So as a whole, when you first start using, it's fun. I'm going to be completely honest. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting. I even remember my first 6 months of use, I think I even told Matt, I was like, I'm just going to do this forever. Like, I was still functioning, still at a job. Everything was still going, pretty good. But the problem is, it gradually becomes more of a burden. You start running out of money. More and more things start going wrong. You get more hooked. You're instantly hooked, but you just get dragged deeper and deeper. You need to do more and more heroin. Your life revolves around heroin more and more, and things start kind of spinning out of control. And it was at that stage where I was like, well, at least I'm just sniffing. I'll kind of still make excuses, because at that point I knew I had a major problem, but I didn't want to do the work to get out of it. I didn't want to have to go through withdrawal. I didn't want to have people know that I was using heroin, which would have to be done in order for me to get clean. So again, as a whole, the addiction at first is exciting, fun. For me, it was about 6 months of that. Gradually, over the next 6 months, it started becoming more of a burden, more and more of a burden. And then eventually, it just turns into a constant battle. You know, you're constantly battling with addiction, and I went, like, for a year or two at least, I went through the process of trying to quit and failing, and trying to quit and failing, trying different things and failing. Well, you know, I'll just use for another day or two, and then failing, and then money. We're running out of money now. Where am I going to get money? People start finding out, well, I wonder if this person knows and that person knows. Like, just more and more things start piling up. Running out of money means withdrawing more, so I'm going through withdrawal more. I gotta fight every day to just the anxiety knowing that I need heroin to feel okay now. And at this stage, at the later stages, as you know, it eventually turns into a constant battle, now you need even more of it. So you have less money, you're more likely to start like losing, you know, your job and stuff, which less access to money. You start losing friends and people who do favors for you, so even less access. Dealers get caught. Just a lot of things happen, and things get worse and worse and worse. And it just becomes a constant battle. So that's really the progression of heroin and what a heroin addiction is like, what it's like to be a heroin addict. Yeah, there are stages where, you know, first it's very fun. There's a medium stage where, all right, well, it's starting to not be as fun, but I still love getting high. And then there's the last stage, which was for me, which was, man, this is getting out of control. It's a constant battle. How the fuck do I get out of this? Right, and that's kind of where I ended my addiction. And I know some people just keep going with it. You know, maybe they don't know where to turn, or they just don't know what to do, or they feel like they've tried everything. And this video is also for those people. You know, our videos we do are also for those people who have gotten to that point and they're like, man, what the fuck do I do now? You know, I've tried everything everyone else is telling me. What do I do now? And a lot of our approaches are really different. You know, we didn't go to rehab. We got on maintenance drug. We took it very slow. We implemented diet and exercise, and it worked for us. And it seems to be working for other people. You know, we started success stories where people are now reporting success. You know, coming off heroin, methadone, Suboxone. So hopefully that helps you understand what heroin feels like, what it truly feels like to be high, which hopefully isn't too enticing to you, because it's really a false sense. It really, although it makes you feel very good in the moment, it really steals your soul. Like heroin it steals everything from you. It steals your sense of worth. It steals your confidence. It steals everything. You know, so if you think it's worth it to trade you to feel good for an hour or two here and there, you might want to rearrange your priorities. Don't go trying heroin even if you think that's worth it, because I promise you it's not. You get in that situation and it won't be worth it for very long. And then of course again, the addiction, there's stages to it, and it goes from fun to this is all right, like I'm okay still, to all right, this is getting out of control, to like I need to get the fuck out. You know, that was kind of the last stage for me. I need to get the fuck out of here. I need to get out of this. And then of course during that stage was a constant battle for me. During that, like I gotta fucking, how do I get out of this shit? It was a constant battle. You know, I was at that constant battle phase where I just tried different things, and eventually I was able to overcome it. And how I did was, of course, tried Suboxone many times, then I got on methadone eventually, and I have my full methadone taper story, which I'll post a link to below, so you can kind of finish the story off there if you like. So that's how heroin feels. That's what it's like to be a heroin addict. Hopefully this was educational to you. Hopefully it sways you away from ever even thinking of using. If you are a loved one with someone who's using, hopefully it helps you understand maybe where they are. You know, a lot of heroin addicts are at that last stage where they're like, I need to get the fuck out of here, but they just don't know how to do it. or they're scared of the withdrawal. They're scared of the recovery. So again, Greg here, Project Unbroken. That's what heroin feels like. That's what it's like to be a heroin addict. Not very fun. All right. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video.